Alright, so this is the connector series part 2 on which connectors to use, and we'll go over the quick connects next, and why I think these are far superior to most of the connectors. So I use these on the steppers, end stops, any place I can think of where it was a wire connecting with a wire. I try to use these quick connects. They come in really handy. They lock to each other, right? So you have, this is the 4-pin one that you might use on the stepper. And these connect together really easily, right? Snap. And they're not coming off unless you push that one and you push the sides there, and then they come right off. So they're really solid. They're really easy to crimp with these that come in with the kit. You buy depending on which kit you buy, there'll be a crimper recommended for that kit. Make sure you use that crimper. Do not buy another one because they're sized for that crimper, or the crimper is sized for these. But these are solid. Again, really easy to connect and set up, and I've never crimped before this project, and these were just a breeze to set up. Just try to be consistent. Make sure you use the male and female in the same places. It's recommended anytime you have a line coming in, maybe there's 12, two-prong here. Let's say this has 12 volts. You want this female connector to be the one that has the 12 volt supply running to this. That way, a screwdriver or finger or something can't accidentally short the two of them out. And then maybe this one might go to your fan, right? Because this is the male one that has the two prongs sticking out of it. So this might go to your fan, and that way, if you don't have your fan connected or anything, there's not really a chance of shorts there. So these are great. I do definitely recommend these quick connects. Now these are by far my least favorite connectors, right? There's a possibility that I am crimping them wrong, but I've done these, I don't know, say near 100 times at least, and still struggle with them. Every one I crimp, maybe every other one will come. Maybe it's just a bad set, maybe not the best quality. I'm not sure, but these are all the female ones. There's no male connectors here. Obviously, the male connectors just go on the wire. And then they would go right through here. But if you're doing the ramps, we don't actually use any of the female connectors on there. We use all the male connectors. We use only the female ones. And as you can see, I've used most of the roll already. And there was 150 on there, and there's probably maybe another 50 left. But basically, you'll crimp your wire with these. You'll stick them in there, and it's just hit or miss whether they come in. There's little slots there where they're supposed to sit, and they don't always sit there. They sometimes come loose. I actually had my extruder that was set up with this one would sometimes come disconnected. The plug would sometimes pop off. Just an absolute pain to use, right? And on the ramps, and one of my frustration with the ramps is that they're all jumpers, right? So they're all male jumpers, and you have to use these female connectors, and I absolutely despise and get frustrated at these connectors. So if you have the ramps and you're going with that, I would say do not buy this kit. Instead, buy some pre-wired connectors, right? So maybe a couple of 4-pin pre-wired female jumpers. So maybe some 2-pins as well for the thermistors. Like I said, 4 pins for the steppers. Maybe some 2 or 3-pin ones for the end stops. That's really about all you need, right? You're not going to use anything else on there for now. So that comes kind of in handy, and I think those pre-made male jumpers or pre-made female jumpers will actually save you a lot of time in the headache, because these are actually a pain to crimp. It's hard to tell, but you have to get these little ears here just right. If I can focus. Right, those little ears on there, have to get them just right, and then this has to sit just right in your crimper, otherwise you'll crimp this connector up here. It's just a nightmare. So avoid, if you can, buy the pre-made connectors. Again, if you're using the ramps, it does not apply if you're using an MKS or board with other type of connectors. And on that note too, in case you don't have those quick connects, these are actually they're just called GHT or GS. I think these are JST connectors. Now they work fine, like on the end stops, for example, because you have them spaced down the end stops, right? So you might have you might connect it like that. And you see they're nice, snug fit. They're not going anywhere. So I kind of like these. I think these are usually made for our seaplanes and stuff like that. So they're nice, tight fit on there, right? They're not going anywhere. They're nice. You can fit these on the thermistors as well, right? It's really handy to use. You got to put them back to back. They fit fine. But if you try to put them, if you try to put 3 in a row, if I can find a third one here. Well, let me do this. If you try to put them together and you did 3 in a row, you actually cannot get them in because, as you'll see, they're actually keyed a certain way, right? So you cannot fit these in together like that. You'll literally be, bending your pins on your ramps board. So bad idea, right? You can fit them in back to back. They fit fine. So these do work. I think they're a little more expensive than just the regular jumpers, but certainly an option. You might want to use these for your fans if you don't feel like using the quick connects. Again, they're keyed, so they only fit in a certain way, but they're just as, almost as tight as quick connects. They don't go anywhere without some force, but they don't have that locking mechanism on there. But I think you can get these in 2, 4, and 3 pins as well. So I just grabbed some of the quick connects that I have. I've used a ton of these, right, on every fan, steppers, everywhere I can think of. Again, I use some of the kit in some cases. In some cases, like the micro switches, I just grab these pre-wired ones, right, and I grab the female end here, right, or sometimes the male end one, depending on what I was doing. And these are just real nice. They're already crimped for you, nice and good crimping. Already tin at the end for soldering. So really handy to have these, right? And they come in 2, 3, and 4 pins, and 5 pins even more. So definitely recommend picking up a couple of these just to make your life easier sometimes when you don't feel like crimping that cable. And then finally, the last one we have is these are JSTPH connectors. And if you're using an MKS style board, you do need to buy these, right? So this might be your end stop one with the 3 wires on there. There's 4-pin ones. You can buy just the connector itself in a kit, like I showed before for the other stuff. I don't know how easy these are to crimp. I haven't had to do that yet. But again, you can buy these already pre-made and then just solder them, and you're fine. So again, these come in 2, 3, and 4-pin, and 5-pin. And the last thing we'll talk about today is just these quick soldering tubes I found, right? I think it's about $4 or $5 for a set of 4, right? Different colors. We don't really use these yellow ones; they're too big. I guess you could use the blue ones on some of the 12 and 16 gauge, but most of the signal wiring, maybe you're using these connectors, or you're using quick connect here, and you're trying to connect the quick connect. Maybe it's a 4-pin quick connect, and you're trying to connect it to your extruder. These actually come in handy, and the way that they work is you'll basically package opening. Hold on. So the way that these work is basically you'll grab your cable on one side, you'll grab your other cable on that other side, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that you'll see there's like a little solder bead there behind that black part right there. So that actually is solder. And then there's 2 beads here. So what you'll do is you'll take your 2 cables, put them together. You'll melt the beads and tubes on both ends. Get a nice tight fit on there. This will come very malleable and very melty, almost in your hand, kind of like a melted PLA. Just don't touch it because it'll be very hot. And then you take your heat gun and you blast the tube over here. And you blast the solder. And what will happen is, hopefully, if you've melted these pretty well, they'll be closed, and the solder will start wicking around the connectors on the inside. If you didn't do very well, not a big deal. The solder will start wicking up. Haven't really had an issue, but just again, start from the top, and then eventually start melting the little tube here in the middle. These are very, very handy for just doing some quick connects, very easy to use. Mostly use these red ones, right? So if you can just buy a kit of, I don't know, 50 of these red ones, I would say buy the kit of the red ones. The blue ones, again, could be used on the 12 and 16 gauge, but I haven't had to use those. And then your white ones could be used, but again, I think these are too small, and then there's not enough really solder in here to wick around most of the cables, so I use primarily all the red ones. And I think that covers it for all our cable connects for today. If I left anything out, please let me know, post in the comments, and thank you for watching.